trees will speak before you listen. Oh my God, no one knows that we can barely stand each other. It's not right, no it's not fair, 'cause I'd wait anywhere for you. Would you wait for me? Bleeding tears is the least of our problems here. We can moan our family's gone. Blistered feelings, all we have's diseased organs, and I'd die anytime for you. Would you die for me? Keep digging for the rest of your days. Say something, please, it's time to pay. Smoke crack.
That's that for sure. You okay? It's going so well.
Reach out for me. At this time I'd let you spit in my face. I can only make you see the moon. You can't touch it, but that's up to you. This is happening because of you. Stay special, brother, you stay true. We can change the world despite all our enemies. We're fighting on. Listen to your heart sing and pray for all. It feels like a memory. If we hold on, there's a victory over the sun.
All said and told, I think that coffee, including all that driving footage and the drone footage, has taken me almost 2 hours. But man, is that worth it. I cannot remember a better first coffee in a long while. Any coffee consumed on the school run, homemade or made by a barista, does not count. That is purely medication, let's call it. That there is Rivington Pike in the northwest, Bolton area. This is easily my favourite place in this country. I proposed to my future wife on a dog walk down there in amongst some lovely ruins, and we look to get married in April in Rivington Barn over there. Absolutely fantastic. But that is not why I have brought you here today. I do have some stuff to show you, some things that could not be shown on the driveway. They're just too important, they're too rugged, they're too just goddamn fantastic. It's finally time to talk about the bull bar, the side sill protectors, the underbody protection. Not sure if you guys have even noticed that. And of course, and most importantly, and the reason why Terranger were even on my radar, that rear equipment system. I'm not even sure really what to call it, but it is beautiful. So I've bought it here today for that rugged aesthetic. People saying that the new Transporter can't look mean. That looks so aggressive now. This bull bar is so simple to fit and so effective. This is a nudge bar. This isn't a winch tray. There is a massive difference. It's a bit more than just decorative, don't get me wrong. I have the ability to mount some lights to the front of it. It looks totally awesome. And if you were to have a little bump while you're off-road, of course, that would take the grunt of that way before your bumper. This is TUV approved, fully road legal, and my insurance company know about it. You make use of 2 bolt locations that are on the underside of the bumper itself. And then there are 4 dimples on the existing bumper, and you make use of them. You drill a 12.5mm hole, put some kind of rubber riv nut wall plug style into said hole and then mount it. I did that on my own and it took about probably an hour. If I was to do one tomorrow, it would take 15 minutes. What a bit of kit. You will find that a lot of the Terranger stuff, like the underbody protection, makes use of existing holes, which brings me nicely onto said underbody protection. But all of that underbody protection made use of existing bolt holes. Remove a bolt, put the plates up, redo the bolt with a bit of Loctite. The fit on that is fantastic. I ordered this van with some underbody protection, and while I did slate it in the past, upon removing it, it is actually a lot better than I originally thought. There are two mounts that are almost well up within the chassis of the van. I didn't even know they're up there. They kind of drop down and give the front end of that sheet metal something to bolt onto. So Terranger have basically used that theory, but just blown it away on steroids. So much thicker, so much stronger. More is covered also. While my factory version just covered the underside of the engine, this goes a bit wider and a bit deeper. More protection. Side sill protection. I mean, they look fantastic as well, don't get me wrong. Very, very important, especially as this will never have massive ground clearance. What's quite good about these, not only do they look cool and they protect my sill, I thought I would be reducing said ground clearance by adding that material. Fits a dream. Me and Andy did the front underbody protection and these side seals in a couple of hours. Probably do want a bit of help unless you're on a ramp, because it's just a little bit holding both ends. 4 holes in the correct location, drill them, protect them with some primer to make sure that it doesn't rust, just like you do every time you drill a hole in your van. A bead of Sikaflex through there. I probably think that's just to act as a bit of a gasket or a cushion, and then bolt it up from behind. The hardware and the thought process that has gone into this design is so good. But I thought by adding a bar to that area that I would be reducing said ground clearance, but you don't, because that sits in what is already a groove. So aesthetically, it looks like you've reduced that ground clearance, because the bit beyond the sill, when you take a picture and things like that, you can't quite see it. You focus on this area here, but that sill protection is probably consistently 2mm lower than the lowest part of that sill. So if you were to go over something that would kind of beach you, you would definitely scrape that first and protect your sill. They are so strong, those. They're actually quite heavy. I believe they're about 10 kilos a side, but worth it, because that could save so much heartache. And they look mint. I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to show you something like this without crawling on the floor. That is actually why I've parked on such an uneven surface, to give me a chance to get my big fat head and beard in here. Differential protection. What a lovely, beautiful piece of craftsmanship that is. It's just a fantastic shape. So simple. Remove some bolts, fit a bracket, put some bolts back in. That gives you then, like this extended bracket, that you can then fit the actual diff protection to. That is a really important piece of underbody protection, because when you're on the lanes and you're kind of spinning up, it won't take much to pick up a big rock and throw that back and cause some real damage. So easy to fit. Once again, beautiful to look at. It's a shame no one gets to see it unless you're crawling around in the mud like I am. Now it's time to show you the real reason why I reached out to Terranger. Let's take a trip down memory lane. Do you remember my last van, the Transporter T6? Well, at some point, a black Fiamma bike rack popped up, and I never really mentioned it. I was considering making a modular system, making use of that bike rack. Many companies have done so. And then I saw this video. It was at that point I realised, well, what's the point? Something like that already exists and they've totally smashed it. I was actually considering ordering that for the rear of the Transporter T6, except then I learned the new van was coming out and I realised that I would actually be buying it, so there was no point spending more money on a van that I was about to sell. So then all my attention was turned to the new van, and I ordered that van with a bike rack. I had the same thing in mind. I was going to strip it down, powder coat it black, and create some kind of rail system to be able to do something like that. And then I saw what they were doing, and the exact same thing happened. Why would I try to create something that has been totally nailed, and that is so much more technical than I could probably even comprehend? And when I say complicated and technical, I don't mean for us, the installer. I mean, there must have been hours and hours of research and development that went into this. Even that bracket that hooks over that tailgate, honestly, I have got max appreciation. As far as installation is concerned, I've only waited this long to do this because A, the van had to be wrapped, and then I had the tailgate issues. I needed the tailgate issues and its alignment sorted before I could go ahead and drill and change these gas struts, or Volkswagen might suggest it was something that I caused. I will show more in-depth use of this as time goes by. This is literally day 2 of having it on the van. We have extra airline here and here, so if you were in the mood for putting a shovel on there or an axe, I am going to install a rear light, like a work light, and potentially, spoiler alert, move that rear camera that seems to be upsetting everyone that watches my videos. I don't know why it's offset, guys. I don't know why. I always knew that I was going to remove that blanket and then install it once again to this rear rack setup. I'm buzzing with this van. I'm totally buzzing with this van. It's the art of the faff, and we need to start embracing it more. That's what this whole van is. I'm not having a coffee machine. I am going to struggle. I am now cold and hungry, but look at the size of the smile. Thank you once again for watching. Do consider subscribing, and I'll see you next Tuesday.